morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for being here today. We're about to start our session, so if you can take your seats. Yes. So it is a pleasure to be here with you. My name is Eric Rizaraya. I'm the Deputy Director of the Project Facilitation and Support Division in ARENA. It's been very intense 3 days, so we're very, very honored by having you here. We know that you have been running from session to session and that it's been a lot of information being delivered. We have had a lot of very interesting panels, and today it's not going to be less interesting than the others. So we are
Oui, bonjour.
that it is a reality
Bonjour.
that the
Allô?
world is going through this climate change crisis, and something that we are also very aware is that the climate change crisis is an energy crisis, and that is something that I would like to repeat again. The climate change crisis, it is an energy crisis that we all need to face together because the implications are real in each of our communities, in each of our lives, in each of our families. In order to face this crisis, we need to come to the reality that we need to work together. It is a crisis about
Allô?
not only generation, but also about transmission. It is about being responsible about the choices we make. It is about being responsible about the resources that we have and how we utilize them. Today's dialogue, we will be diving into, as you can see, green hydrogen, which has been around for a while, but lately is becoming more and more crucial and more popular when it comes to energy generation, transmission, and storage. The MENA region is located with a unique potential for green hydrogen. There are a lot of the confluence of combination of natural resources, human capital,
Oui,
the technology that
on va
we use,
commencer maintenant.
putting the MENA region as a unique key player in the position for the transition from fossil fuels to green energy. And we have also been talking about this transition and underlining that the transition, it is exactly that, a transition. It's not about turning off the key of fossil fuels and starting from ground zero with renewable energies. It's about making a responsible transition, taking all the lessons learned that we have from years
Et
of
comment on
using
va
fossil
fermer
fuels and applying
le
these
port
to what
d'eau
is coming next, to what
pour
we are
les
doing right
sources
now.
d'énergie et
The
comment
objective of this session
l'utilisation.
is just to leave us all with
Et c'est
very
ça le
actionable
but
insights
qu'on doit
about
le faire
what needs
au
to be
cet
done in
event.
terms of policy, in terms of
Et il y
social
a beaucoup de
capital,
plans qu'on veut
economic
le faire.
implications of this transition, especially for the MENA region and also
Et
for
pour
global.
le
We
communiquer
have to be aware that
dans le
all
Moyen-Orient et
decisions
le
that
nord
we
de
take
Afrique.
here today and all the insights that we leave this room with are going to have an
On,
impact not only
on
in the
sait que
region, they're
tout
going to
ce
have
que
an
le
impact on
plan
on
et
the
toute
planet,
l'information
they're going to have an
qu'on a
impact on our
aujourd'hui
societies, are going to have an impact on the future generations that are going to be
pour le
coming after us. So it is our responsibility to be responsible about what we are
test.
going to
Allô?
be saying, putting out there, and then deciding. So allow me to pass
Oui,
now
allô?
to my colleague, Simon Benmarrace, who
Et je
is
crois
the
que
team lead of ARENA's Innovation and Infrastructure
Monsieur
Team.
Simon aussi, c'est le président de Unity.
Thank you very much, Eric.
Merci, Monsieur Rick. Tout d'abord, je vais mettre la présentation et discuter avec vous et comment on va faire les solutions au futur. Mais maintenant, on va parler de la situation présente. C'est quoi la solution qu'on a fait maintenant? On est bien sûr qu'on va avoir la solution et ce plan jusqu'à le 2050. Et comme on a discuté avant dans le CAPA, mais le plus important, c'est le
the continued use of fossil fuel in the power generation is frequently viewed as a challenge. But we see it
Dans
as
le
a
secteur de
opportunity
production,
for a strategic transition to renewable energy. And this region has deep
il y a
roots in the
aussi la
Northeast.
nécessité
It is not a
de
liability.
faire de
It is rather an
renouvellement
asset and a
d'énergie.
solid foundation upon which we can build a sustainable future. The region have the skills, the knowledge,
Donc,
and the
c'était
infrastructure to
plus
transform
important, mais
our
ce n'est
energy
pas
landscape
solution.
and drive economic prosperity forward. To be
On
clear,
voulait bien
aligning
avoir
oil and gas operation with energy transition and
augmenter
decarbonization goals
l'économie
is more than just environmental
au
sustainability.
futur. C'est
Long-term
ça le
economic
plus
resilience is at
important.
stake. We have the golden
Et la
opportunity
continuation,
to pivot and apply this expertise in fossil
on a
fuels
bien bonne
towards
chance.
renewable energy sources. This is a win not only for the
Et
environment
comme
but also for
nous
long-term
allons de
resilient
énergie
economic growth.
et de sources,
As you know,
et
of
comme on
course,
va
this region is
parler
particularly vulnerable to the most
d'économie
severe consequences
flexible,
of climate change, from rising temperature to the terrifying risk of flood and
et
sea
c'est
level rise. Our precarious
important
state
pour
is more than just an environmental issue. It is an
le niveau de mer
existential
aussi, le augmenter de
flood and
nouveau.
drought risk. Our very way of life is at risk.
Et beaucoup
This
de
challenge, however, provides an
trésoriers,
opportunity for a successful transformation. Optimizing
c'est
mitigation and adaptation strategies across all fronts is the key to
qu'ils ont
unlocking this future.
nous donné
And
plus de stratégies et plus de responsabilités pour que on a pour meilleure de situation que on a. Alors, Moyen-Orient et le nord de l'Afrique, on peut dire aussi, on peut bénéficier de régions qu'on va mettre mieux. Et on a les solutions qu'on a maintenant.
With over 400 green hydrogen initiatives on the ground and only 20 more
Et alors, on a aussi
under development.
le différents projets
The path to a more sustainable future is not without
qu'on
obstacles.
doit
The
bien
monumental task of scaling
préparer.
up hydrogen production is a prime example.
Et alors,
To put this in context, the global hydrogen supply
donc on a
must
bien
increase
besoin
more
de...
than sixfold by 2050. However, the scale-up is about more than just quantity. It's about quality.
Et c'est le... On voit le pourcentage, c'est moins 6 fois jusqu'à le 2050. Et on doit bien utiliser le vert hydrogène jusqu'à 2050. Et ça, c'est par exemple pour l'utilisation pour le hydrogène. Et ça, ce qu'on peut-être pense que la consommation jusqu'à 20 millions de tonnes giga. Alors cette énergie
integrating those electrolyzers into our power grids is more than just a technical challenge. It's a strategic necessity.
mais ce n'est pas le challenge pour nous, mais le but ici, c'est comment on va utiliser les façons pour le vert hydrogène pour différentes sources. Alors, la technologie, bien besoin de technologie pour l'économie de hydrogène. C'est l'économie de racine. Et pour le succès de
plus policy stability equal a
Pour
position
le
of leadership in
hydrogène,
the hydrogen
comme
economy.
c'est le problème et partout, il faut
The
avoir
numbers
des
speak for
solutions aussi.
themselves. Global electrolyzer capacity was around 137
Alors, on
megawatts
voit
in
le numéro
2018
aussi,
and will be expected to be around 60
comment on
gigawatts by
va au
2024. The EMEA
2021,
region, which
était
includes the MENA
5.3
region, is
et
not just a
maintenant
bystander in
est
this explosive growth. It is a major
2024
contributor, accounting for 59% of the
augmenté
development
jusqu'à
plan for
16%.
2022. This level of dedication is
Et c'est
impressive and
plus
strategic. It
grand
demonstrates that the
différent
MENA regions recognize the importance of hydrogen
et il
and
va
are shaping
augmenter
our
au
energy
futur
future.
aussi.
Our collective investment is more than just financial commitment. It is a pledge to lead, innovate, and leave a lasting impact. The MENA region has an opportunity as well and a responsibility to lead in this transformative change. We need immediate
Est-ce que j'ai besoin maintenant?
progress in this field and ensure that green hydrogen scale up appropriately in the region. There are obvious opportunities in front of
On
us.
voit bien plus d'utilisation de hydrogène.
Our support to
Il y a plus de
energy.
mécanique
To improve efficiency, we should invest in research
et
and
pour
development.
ça,
It is also critical to secure a dedicated supply
il y a plus
of
d'argent
renewable
qui
energy.
sont
On a regional scale, we must stand
financés
together to facilitate hydrogen trade by strengthening international trade and ensuring the flow of capital to fund
pour
network
augmenter
expansion
l'économie
and repurpose
pour le
existing
hydrogène.
resources. We also have large
Il
room
faut
for improvement within
avoir
the
aussi
opportunities. It is critical
l'utilisation,
that we streamline
la
capital
possibilité
and energy expenditures in
d'utilisation
order to reduce
normale
connecting to renewable energy sources directly
de
will
différentes
provide
sources
a strategic advantage for the
à
infrastructure in
beaucoup
this region,
de
as
différentes
well as addressing
stratégies
the efficiency gap,
qui
which
ont
accounts
de
for around
plein
30 to
au futur
35%
aussi.
of energy losses, will also result in significant gains. We cannot, however, ignore the
Donc, il y a
infrastructure gap.
de
To
trucs
bridge this gap,
spécialement
robust storage and transportation are urgently
qui
required.
pour le
It is also
sauver.
critical that we upskill our workforce in order to realize the full potential in this economy, and new infrastructure
Comme
investments
par exemple
fill
la
the funding gap.
production
Finally, the way forward is clear.
et
Let
le
us seize this opportunity of green hydrogen,
sous-construct
close the gaps, and take bold,
et comment on va le
forward-looking actions
transférer.
toward a hydrogen-powered future that benefits all of us. Thank you very much.
Donc, il faut avoir une continuation
I will now
de
hand over to our moderator,
le problème.
Luciano, to introduce the panel and continue with the sessions. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Simon. Good morning. It's a
Merci,
pleasure
monsieur.
to meet
Bonjour
you.
à tout le monde.
Grateful for the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia's government
Je
for
suis
hosting
content
this
d'être
event
ici
and our partners for hosting this
en
event.
Arabie Saoudite et je suis
After
bien content de
Simon's great
votre
presentation,
accueil.
I will intend to walk you through
Et je vais
some of the
continuer ce
aspects that
que
were mentioned there,
Monsieur Simon a dit.
illuminated by the words
Je
of
vais
our great
parler
panelists,
de
which will
trucs
walk us through
importants aussi.
the role of hydrogen in the region for achieving net zero by
Ce que
2050, the
notre
role of infrastructure, regulation,
accueillants
finance,
ont
and the
déjà dit
particular development needs
pour le
for the
plan
region
de
in terms of
2050.
For this, we have a great panel today.
Donc
I
alors,
will call you to the stage,
il y a
starting
bonne
with Radia
collection
Sedawi. She's the chief of
ici.
the energy section of the
On
Sustainable
va parler
Development
avec
Policy
Madame
Divisions
Bradzi
of the
ici,
United
qui est
Nations Economic and Social Commission for Western
le
Asia.
président de
Radia,
l'énergie
welcome.
durable au,
We have also today
au
Dr. Samir
Midwest
Rafidi. He's
de
Director
Asia.
General of the Research Institute for Solar Energy and New Energies of Morocco.
Et le monsieur président
morning.
de
Dr. Said Al-Garib, he's the General Director
l'énergie
of
solaire
Hydrogen and
au
Circular
Maroc.
Carbon Economy of the Ministry of Energy of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. Welcome, Dr. Said.
Et
Dr. Majid
monsieur
Mahmoud, Technical
Zaid,
Director of the Regional Center for Renewable
qui
Energy and Energy Efficiency
travaille au
of
management de
Egypt.
l'énergie.
Mr. John Morcos, Senior Investment Officer and Regional Sustainable and Climate Finance
Ce
Lead of the
monsieur
International
vient
Finance
d'Égypte
Corporation, and Abdulrahman Kurdi,
et
Advisor in the
autres
Hydrogen
compagnies
Diplomacy Office of GIZ. Welcome, Abdulrahman. So if you don't
et
mind, I
qu'il
will join
travaille
you and start
pour la même
right away with the
région.
questions based on this first presentation shared by
Donc,
Simon.
on va commencer.
And I would like to start with you, Radia.
On
And
va
this
commencer
is
avec
a question that we can
toi,
make for different regions,
Radia.
and that is of particular interest today in MENA Climate Week for MENA. And it's what will be the role, or what can be the role of hydrogen in achieving 1.5, which is the role of green hydrogen particularly expected for MENA to achieving warming below 1.5 in the context of what was agreed in Paris.
Thank you. Thank you very much, and thanks for hosting this event. And my understanding that we speak about hydrogen horizons, but your question is addressed on the green hydrogen. From the MENA regional perspective, I believe that, and since we are hosted by the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, who had the leadership in looking to the integrated approach following the circular carbon economy framework, we're already recognizing that certainly carbon removal is needed, but before that, you need to reduce the carbon by using and changing transforming your energy system. Transforming your energy system by looking to alternatives. Among the alternatives,
doit faire
beyond
moins
renewable
de
energy
carbone,
is
comme on
hydrogen.
dit.
But hydrogen potential as a source of
Et comment on
energy that
trouve
would help
autre
to
solution
address the
pour le
global warming, but more
hydrogène?
importantly, it's also a source of fuel
Mais
that will help the
malheureusement,
economic and social development, provided
c'est
that we do have the
continuation de
enablers in
le
place. From the MENA regional
pétrole.
perspective, just maybe to start by the end, what you expected me to say,
Dans la région
maybe
de
from the role of the region,
Sud-Afrique,
which I start with before talking about hydrogen, be it green,
encore,
grey, and purple, depending on the color we speak about.
il y a
But let's treat
aussi
it as clean hydrogen as a
différents
definition,
hydrogènes,
that
différentes
we may
couleurs,
agree
comme le
on
bleu et le
from
vert.
different regions on a certain
Et alors,
terminology. But
on va
hydrogen
parler,
from
discuter
role of the
de ça
region, the
aussi,
region which currently
pour
is
toutes
the
les
largest
régions
producer, have the potential not only in terms of
qui
infrastructure,
sont
in terms
produire
of
de gasoline,
know-how of leading in the energy sector,
que sont
but
le
also in terms
produire.
of human capital. On the technology aspect, globally, we are not on track to put hydrogen
Et
as
la façon de technologie aussi,
I think the presentation done by
il y
our
a
colleague from ERENA clearly indicate that we
différents
speak
challenges
about
entre
more than 4 times,
pays.
if I may say, the cost of
Ce
green
qu'on
hydrogen
peut
versus
aussi
the blue
faire,
hydrogen. Certainly, all of us, in the frame of addressing the climate, I would say, a crisis, but also ensuring that whatever solution that we bring to the table, there are solutions that ensure social and economic development to all nations. So the region which now lead in the energy sector have huge potential, not only in terms of potential of renewable energy that would help to have the green hydrogen in place, but also hydrogen as a clean hydrogen. The region has all the enablers to be leading globally in the hydrogen, be it as a market for the Asian market, the European market, and will serve to ensure also not only the internal energy security, but also the regional and global energy security. What I'd also the thing that I would mention from the green hydrogen, I believe that there were already not only announcements, but already we have projects in place, independently of the costs that we have, be it on the green hydrogen, for example. But all most of the GCC countries, for example, and since we have a representative of Morocco who will indicate the effort of Morocco in this respect, my colleague from Ricky also would mention also some of the effort done in the region, but also in Egypt. But I think in the GCC countries,
partager avec nous le effort et le effort qu'ils ont fait au Maroc.
But still, several projects announced globally, and
et alors, il y a plus de projets au niveau global. Peut-être que 5% ou autre pourcentage d'autres projets. Mais au total, c'est 95% de projets qu'ils ont mis en place. Et ce que je voulais faire, et pardon, ce que je voulais dire,
and you need to ensure that you have certain enablers to put hydrogen
faut
on
mettre
track
en
in terms of
place
financing and the ESG compliance. So in order to ensure that it's accepted also from the global community and the
Et un
since we are in the
peu,
MENA Climate Week as
elle
well. So
parle
this
un
is
peu
our entry
rapidement.
point in this platform.
Alors,
But at the same time, take it from an integrated approach from the economic and
et
social
donc,
and environmental dimension. And the other aspect for me, always I see hydrogen, since my background was in oil and gas sector, specifically in the LNG, that I see hydrogen
et
as an
moi,
LNG, and
je
this is the
travaillais
business model that
avant
we
au
all need to learn
LG,
from in order to build on,
et
the,
ça,
on a effective but also on a reliable
et
and a
ce
long-term
projet, ce que l'on
partnerships
doit
between the
bien
supplier
le
and
faire
the off-takers
et
in order to
partager
ensure
avec
that we build the energy
support,
security
avec le
pathway for all
supplier
of us.
et le
Thank you.
consumer pour
Um,
l'énergie.
and speaking about different sources, as Radia mentioned, Dr. Samir,
On a parlé aussi
that
de
there
autres
is a
sources
significant potential for renewables, particularly, well, your
pour
institution
est-ce
leads
qu'il y a des
research in solar, for
possibilités
example, but also in other sources such as
pour
wind.
leur
And
nouvelle
these sources
énergie.
had a significant development during the last years in the region, but still have much potential to
Il y a plus
be
de force, il y a
increased.
plus
What
d'avancées
is
au
expected from your point of view
secteur.
to be the role between these
Et
sources and hydrogen
est-ce que
as a
comment vous
catalyzer for
pensez
increasing that development in the short
vous
to
allez
medium term?
faire et comment dans votre source
Yeah. Thank you so much, Luciano,
pour
for the
cette
kind
opération?
invitation. I would like also to thank Irina for the opportunity to speak and
Je
also
voulais
congratulate
bien
Kingdom
remercier
of Saudi Arabia for this holding this
l'Arabie
successful
Saoudite
pre-COP
et
summit.
je vous remercie
If you allow me
l'organisation.
before, I mean answering directly your question, Luciano.
Comment vous allez
allow me
dire,
please,
je voulais
three general remarks
mes deux questions, mais
as objective as possible because
d'abord, je
we
voulais
find
dire
sort
un
of
petit peu de
militant or advocate
remarques que j'ai
for
vues.
green hydrogen or clean hydrogen in general, as Radia mentioned, but allow me please to be a bit
Et
objective in three little remarks.
je vais
First of
mettre
all
de,
is
un petit peu,
probably
je vais être
to
exactement et
touch
quelques
on the
points
importance
que
of the opportunity that
que
was
vont
mentioned
me
in the
dire.
presentation of Simon. And for
Comme
this, to
Monsieur
simplify
Simon dit
the
que
figures,
c'est
I
très
would like to share
important,
with the attendants a simple
chance.
rule. The rule of
Alors,
1, 10, 20, and
j'aimerais bien
30.
partager
So
mon
for
opinion.
each million ton, 1 million
Juste
ton,
le
we need 10 gigawatts of electrolysis
septembre
capacity. And for green
au
hydrogen, we need 20
2030,
gigawatts approximately of
il
renewables.
faut, comme on
And
dit,
it will
réduire
cost 30
le
billion
niveau de
dollars of
hydrogène.
investment. Más o menos. It's
Il y a
the
plusieurs
reference of
milliards
budget, as
de
we say
dollars
in French.
dans ce projet.
And this is an idea that when you do the
Cette
maths,
idée,
the market is just
comment on fait
substantial.
la
We are targeting,
calculation,
somehow depending on the studies and the estimations, between 500 to 600 million tons of market by 2050. When you do the
on
maths,
voit
it's a
bien
trillion
qu'il y a de
capex,
50% ou 60%
a trillion dollars, sorry, worth
de
of
pourcentage
capex, without mentioning this is
où
the
il y
tip
a
of
de
the
20,
iceberg.
de
This is the
30
investment on the plants themselves, but
billions
you have, of course, all
de
the opportunities
taxes.
to invest in solar panels,
Et aussi, il y a
factories,
d'autres
in
choses,
electrolyzers, factories,
opportunités
blades, etc.
pour
So this is just
investir
to attract your attention to this massive opportunity, social and economic. The
et
second
pour le
point
vent,
also objectively
énergie de
is
vent
that
aussi.
there is a key role of the governments to play in this regards.
Et
And
ce
I
rôle,
would
ce
put,
grand rôle pour le gouvernement.
a first task for the governments is to own the subject. And by owning the subject, I mean two things.
Et c'est le
First of
plus
all,
important que
define
le gouvernement
the
qui vient
country's
adapter le
what is the
projet
interest of the country first? Each country of
pour supporter le
be it
pays.
importers or
Et
exporters,
chaque
potential
pays,
importers.
ils ont
And the second thing is to be aware of the
de
potential.
exporteurs et
And the
le
gap you
consommateur.
need to bridge. Because the opportunity is there,
Mais
but
c'est
there
quoi
are lots of
le
challenges that
différent
probably we
entre
can discuss with
entre les deux?
colleagues panelists. And the third thing I would like also to bring
Et les trois
as
points
a introductory remark
que je
is
voulais
the
dire,
massive opportunity
c'est
of
comme quelques
cooperation in
marques,
the MENA region between the countries. Because we
simples
have
marques.
approximately the same
Et comment
potential in terms of renewables,
on
for
va
and
faire
deal with some
au
challenges and
Moyen-Orient
heterogeneities in terms of water scarcity for desalination,
avec
etc.
le
in some regions, and
nouveau
also
énergie.
combination between both wind and solar. And this is somehow the question you asked.
Et alors, il y a
And
aussi
also in terms of challenges when it comes
de-
to infrastructure,
il y a beaucoup de challenges
human
et beaucoup
capacity, human
de
capabilities
façons.
to run those projects. But
Et aussi
also, and most importantly, I would say that the need of
emploi
synergies and cooperation
pour ce
between
projet.
the MENA region countries in this regards would be enabling
Et
when
le
it
travail
comes to
ensemble
negotiating
avec le
a global
Moyen-Orient,
trade framework with the potential offtake or
il y a,
off-takers.
il y a plusieurs
Recently, I don't know if you
façons
followed,
de le
but there
faire
has been
avec
an issue
l'économie.
of, or an issuance, sorry, of a regulation standard from the EU regarding
Mais
the
quand on parle avec le règle
RFNBOs,
entre le
the
pays,
renewable fuels from non-biogenic origins. And in this regulation, or in this first version, we
et
are
comme
somehow,
ce
and
secteur aussi,
please don't take
on
it
a bien
negatively, we
essayé,
have been frustrated as potential exporters because
on voulait
the rules that
faire,
has been put
on ne voulait pas le prendre
as a potential
façon
Morocco, for example, as a
négative.
potential exporter, we don't
C'est
fit
comme par
for this
exemple au
first,
Maroc,
so this is just to
comme il est
contextualize a
exporteur.
little bit the discussion, but this is
Alors
of
on a
course
bien besoin
has nothing to do
de...
with the potential of the region. I would just
Mais
emphasize on the
ce n'est
necessity
pas la
of
même
having
chose,
both solar and wind in order to
il
reduce
faut avoir
the cost of hydrogen
de
or ammonia.
énergie, de
But
solaire
it's also,
énergie,
important
et
for
mais
it to
moins
be
de
better,
gasoline, de
especially in this
mustard
first
aussi,
phase of triggering the market
spécialement
of green hydrogen in the region.
au ce niveau.
Sami, then coming
Et
back
comment on
to
commençait.
Nadia's first comment on costs and alternative sources and you building up on that.
Et
I
pour
think
les
Dr. said
finances,
that
et c'est
we have an
quoi
opportunity to discuss
le
how to deal
augmenter?
with this.
C'est une
The
bonne chance de
issue
le
of costs
dire
may
comment
be
vous allez faire
significantly
avec.
higher in some countries of this region due to geography,
Et
due
voici
to
avec
water access, due
vous
to
comment vous allez
different
faire
kind
au
of
secteur ou la région.
particular geographical and other issues. How can technology help us
Et
address
comment
these kind of
pouvait
gaps
la
and
technologie
promote the
faire
development of competitive hydrogen
pour
for the MENA region?
mettre des solutions pour le hydrogène
Just to
au
maybe
votre
put
région?
my case here, I need just to start at the beginning. So, as has
Je
been
voulais
mentioned,
commencer
as has been
d'abord
mentioned,
de
we're still short of meeting our 1.5 target. And
commencer
to put things in a simple term, we have 3 tracks in order to meet that. We have a decarbonization track, decarbonizing our conventional energy. That's very important. We need to deploy and ship electrons, renewable, and we need to deploy and ship molecules, that's hydrogen.
on a bien
All of these
besoin
are new tracks
d'emplois
that requires a lot
pour
of
tout ce
investments, a lot
que
of
ce
funding.
chemin qu'on
So
a
there is already huge
et
investment
pour
to
les
be made,
investissements.
and there's going to be competition on
Il y a beaucoup d'investissements
on the source of funding. For
pour
the
les sources
decarbonization, it has a local
d'investissement,
nature or regional nature, where
mais
every
pour
country,
le
especially
réduire
in the
de
MENA region
carbone,
that's blessed with natural sinks,
tous le
will
pays
actually deploy these sources to decarbonize. Maybe in the
qu'ils ont
future,
de
these sinks
l'utilisation de
could be
réduire de
monetized by
carbone
accepting or importing some of the
et
CO2 from
pouvaient
other
être
regions.
aussi
But that's far in the future. When we
pour le
compare
faire
electrons
aussi
and
d'autres
molecules,
régions et
molecules
secteurs.
are easier to ship and move around. And I say
Comme
easier,
on fait
but
cette
not
part
easy,
de électro,
because still hydrogen is very
c'est
complex
peu,
when it
c'est
comes
les
to
moins facile
moving it around.
parce
So
que
when we focus on
il est
hydrogen,
très
which is our topic
compliqué.
today,
Quand
and
on a
with this,
seulement parlé de
I would say,
hydrogène,
competition on
il est
funding,
moins
we need to
compliqué.
really be, I would say,
Alors,
practical
pour ce
on
support,
how we focus and how we deploy the resources.
pour que ce que on est
we
bien
now
concentré.
see many regions and many, I would say,
On a bien vu des
top
autres
figures in our
pays
industry
et
focusing
d'autres
green
régions
hydrogen, which is fair,
qu'ils
but
ont obligé
unfortunately,
de
maybe we're
mettre sa
focusing
force
on
au
the
hydrogène.
expensive product, but we're forgetting the other product, which is relatively cheaper.
Mais ça,
And we
c'est
forget
product,
that
c'est plus expensive.
the 1.5
Il ne
and
peut
why
pas
we need
le faire
hydrogen. We need
jusqu'à
hydrogen to lower our emissions.
ça et
We don't
oublier
need hydrogen
le
because we choose to go
1,5%
with other
qu'on a besoin
energy source.
pour réduire
It's
le
decarbonization.
hydrogène.
So that's why I believe the
Et
narrative
ça
of
aussi,
blue versus green versus gray, the color
le
coding
même
in
qu'au
general has to
carbone,
change. And that has to be reflected and
pour
embodied in the regulations and policy.
mais une quantité
It doesn't
de
matter
gaz vert
whether which color we choose, as long as we meet
et
our
c'est
carbon
pas le
footprint.
problème de
We
couleur.
specify the carbon
On peut
footprint,
faire
we specify
autre
the
couleur,
calculation. Technology will
mais
play a
il
major
faut
role,
que le met
and
la
technology
même
should be actually
portion.
advancing for all types of hydrogen,
Le principal
blue, green, and
qu'ils
the
ont
other shades
besoin de pour
still
mais
exist.
mieux
So
du
in
secteur.
order for us to deploy technology, we need
Donc,
to really
pour qu'on ait
start
bien une
scaling up.
utilisation de
Scaling up
technologie,
will help us to really test technology and
il
fine
faut
tune
bien
as we go
mettre
further.
la
And this
technologie
goes
au
back to our
exemple.
dilemma which we are discussing yesterday and the day before, which is the availability of
Et ça,
takers.
c'est la même qu'on a dit
challenge
hier
is
et
that
avant-hier.
because we are
Le
publicly
challenge,
saying
c'est
that hydrogen costs will go down, and it will definitely go
on
down. That's
dit
nature
c'est
of life. As you scale up, it
le
will go down.
expensive
But it will not go down
hydrogène,
magically.
il va
It will go down when you
mais
scale
moins
up.
cher,
So
mais
waiting
elle va pas
2030 will
être
not
dans
get
le
us to
même
the
jour.
$1 per
Il
kilogram.
prend du temps
What
de
will
le faire.
get us to $1 per kilogram is
Mais on a
scaling
des
up
plans,
projects.
mais je
And
pense
if we just
qu'à
focus on one type, our
2030,
worry is
si ce
that
n'est pas
we are
suffit,
not scaling
peut-être
up
elle va
fast enough.
prendre plus de temps.
So technology is very important, but
Donc,
we need
il ne
to
faut
really
pas
start scaling
dépêcher
up so that we can
pour
test
prendre des
technologies and we
décisions.
can enhance technologies,
Il
and
faut
that,
bien
of course, technology
prendre
as
des
one level
exemples,
will help us to get to that
examiner la
$1 per kilogram,
technologie
but scaling up is very, very important.
pour arriver à la prix de $1 pour
Refine our
le
regulations.
gallon.
Regulations means clarity, means visibility.
Mais
And
l'organisation,
changing, regulations
c'est-à-dire
every once in a
qu'on
while
va
will
clair,
actually
on voulait
make the
voir
situation
clair
worse because now you're increasing uncertainty. So we
et
need
il
to
va
focus
être
on get the
la
right
situation
regulations, and the right regulation will drive
plusieurs
scaling up and will drive the deployment of technology.
mieux.
Thank
Et
you, Dr.
de ça,
Unveiling.
mon
Building
opinion
on
de
that, building
le
on that
faire.
need for certainty about the rules of
Et
the
je
game
vous
from
remercie
now on, and stable rules of the game.
que vous allez dire
The challenge to
parce
scale up,
qu'il
to
voulait
scale up and for scaling
être
up,
sûr
there's one key thing
pour
about
les
which is infrastructure.
augmenter le challengement.
We need to deploy a large infrastructure
Et
which
ça
will be
aussi,
different in
la
different
même
regions, in
avec
different
le
countries. And that is why I want to ask Dr. Majid about that.
sous-transport.
Which is the challenge for infrastructural building in the MENA region?
Et
related
ça,
to
c'est
hydrogen
la
development?
spécialité de
Is
Monsieur
it different
Tariq.
from other regions? What are the
C'est quoi le
particular needs
challengement que
and
vous
challenges
allez
that we are facing here right now to achieve
au
those
Moyen-Orient,
scales of infrastructure?
Monsieur? Merci.
No, we can't.
Yes.
C'est discuter,
The debate, in fact, is very interesting. And we are
c'était
hearing
très bien
several voices. We
et
heard
je suis
from
content.
Nadia on the importance, and Samir
J'ai
reflected the
écouté
fact that
plusieurs
we
points
cannot
et
really predict how the
plusieurs
market
opinions.
will grow because for example, now
Et
we
on
have
ne peut pas
regulations that will hinder us from
préparer
exporting.
pour l'organisation.
This volatility. And you need to link the infrastructure problem to the demand side. You cannot
Et
install,
pour
maybe you
qu'on ait
invest
fait le
in
même,
infrastructure,
il
gigantic
faut avoir le
infrastructure, right?
demande
So when you invest, you need demand. The off-taker
au
issue.
sous-terrain.
The off-taker issue is not really guaranteed right now. We have seen all the region competing on that.
ou la façon
we need to do some root cause analysis and that, but this
qu'ils
is
ont
the answer to your question
communiqué
on the
dans cette
particularities of MENA region.
opinion.
MENA Arab region
Ils n'ont pas de
is
savoir,
not one
mais
harmonized
ici,
region
en
in
Arab
terms of
région,
energy. We have
ils n'ont pas
countries that are
de
exporting countries,
dupliquer
others
de
are
énergie.
importing, others are in the middle. So
Il y a d'autres
sometimes
pays
importing
qui
gas, but,
ont
exporting
produire
gas, for example, natural gas, but
et
importing,
l'autre qui sont
right? And so there are
exportés.
different needs. And
Et
here
quand
it is
même, pour
important
le
to look
gasoline,
into the national
le
demand
somme de
and the
gasoline
regional demand,
elle est peu
and then
différente
the
de chaque
neighboring
pays.
regions demand. And for
Mais
example,
pour
when you
le local
look into
demande
the,
et le global
when we
demande,
say green hydrogen, the term green means renewables for us.
quand on a vu le verte,
When you look
la
into the history
hydrogène
of the last
verte,
10 years, we have been very much successful in
quand
bringing
on
the
a,
price
si on a vu le
of
dernier
renewable electricity
10 ans,
unprecedented levels.
il n'est pas aidé
1.04
de
in
même
Saudi Arabia,
laisse de prix.
1.1, 2 cents in Egypt, 2 to 3 in Morocco, and
Le
so on.
redoublé n'est pas
And this was because of the business model, not only because of
beaucoup
the resources,
pour le
but the business
prix.
model, the incentives that we
Et
inject
ça, c'est
into
pas
this market.
pour, il n'y a pas de source, mais
But when you
pour
look into
le
market
travail
and
pas,
where we
il n'est
are right
pas
now,
de
you find that
emploi
many countries,
de le faire.
we have success stories. We have seen the
Il y a
leadership in
chaque
Morocco,
pays,
in Egypt,
mais
in
il y a des
Jordan,
histoires de
very
succès
common, and then
aux
those countries picked up
quelques
and in
pays,
fact moved very fast, so that we are expecting in the near future that
mais au
they
Golfe
will be,
pays, ils
they
ont
are already
bien
now big player in the market of renewables.
le faire
But
et
when you
ils ont
look into the
mieux
22
maintenant
Arab
que
countries, this is not
nous.
the same case. There are issues.
Et
There is a
quand
gap
on
between what was
regarde
announced
le
as targets for
22
renewable
pays
energy and
ici,
what is being implemented.
il
And
y
if
a
you
un
took,
peu
for example,
d'espace entre
the big
les
two
autres
leading
pays
markets for
et
electricity
comment
in
ils
the
vont
region,
faire
Saudi Arabia and
et
Egypt.
comment on va le plus grand
The targets that were announced
économie
before
au
hydrogen
Arabie
one, before all the
Saoudite
talks about hydrogen,
à
were
côté de
around 59
Égypte,
gigawatts
à
in Saudi Arabia
côté,
by 2030,
on va
something like that.
dans
And
l'année
in Egypt, it's 42%
95,
from the electricity mix, which translate, based on my calculation, up to 50
il y a
gigawatts.
différents, comme en Égypte c'est
Where we are right now, we're up to 6 now,
42%,
roughly 6, and 4 gigawatts are under.
et ça fait
So
de
within 10
50
years, less than 10
gigawatts
years,
plusieurs.
additional at least 40 gigawatts. 40 gigawatts.
Peut-être qu'on a besoin
Think
de
about the grid
40
capacity to absorb
gigawatts
that infrastructure
juste
challenge. We are speaking about the
pour
renewable
le
energy
plus
on its own. When you add
le
hydrogen,
10 ans
and now
prochain.
Radia referred to around 60 projects in the region. My calculations are around 64 Radia also. This is based on the announced. Some of them are already
Monsieur
producing,
Radi,
like in
il
Emirate,
a
like in Egypt, in the
expliqué
pre-sales,
qu'il y a
canal,
60
sales-canal zone,
autres
100
projets en
But when
région.
you think about how we
En
are
Égypte,
aspiring to scale up this, and think
et
on
quand
the
on
readiness
réfléchit
of the grid
bien,
alone. If you
et
combine the
comment
renewable
c'est
energy targets
l'utilisation
with
de
the
ce
green
net
hydrogen targets, and then you think about,
avec
wow,
le point
this is
et le but
gigantic.
de le faire.
This is an opportunity also for the market to grow. But we
Et
need to
ça,
plan.
c'est
If we
plus grand
fail to
différence
plan,
entre les
we
deux.
plan to fail
Mais on
in
n'est
this regard.
I'll steal that for you.
on n'est pas
I'll steal
de
that phrase from you.
succès de cette région.
And in Egypt, we say,
En
the best way
Égypte,
to dream is to wake up. We need to wake up.
la
in order to
meilleure
achieve our dreams.
solution
قبل ما تحلم فوق in
pour le faire en Égypte,
This is a
c'est
song, by
le
the way.
plus mieux place de faire de rêve.
Just speaking about green showed us that we have a very
Et quand on parle
very good
de
possibility to grow. but
verte
very challenging
énergie,
Also in terms of making the grid flexible enough to
il y a
absorb renewables,
plusieurs
fluctuating renewables, making sure that the electrolyzers will
façons.
always produce, so you need the
Il faut
backup from
être
the grid, the balancing power,
possible.
etc. So this is one word.
Et
green.
c'est
When we
quoi
get into hydrogen,
l'énergie
when we want to get into
nécessaire?
hydrogen, I'm sorry.
Mais quand
And
on
I
parle
agree very much
d'origine,
on the
il
concept
faut
that now
le
it is a
dire
time
cette
for
chose.
cooperation
Je
of
suis
competitors
d'accord
to create
que
clean hydrogen
maintenant
economy,
c'est le temps
so that
pour
we have the
travailler
mass, the
ensemble
scale that we can reduce costs. I agree. This is called co-opetition.
pour
Cooperation of
que
competitors.
tout ce que ce
This is what we
travail
need
et
right now.
emploi, elle va
So when we scale
réduire
up, we can
le
see
prix.
also other forms of hydrogen to grow hand in hand till we have
pour
the
voir
green
autre
will
façon,
be the
autre
option that being Irina or Rikri, we are sure
de
that the green will be
hydrogène.
available. But till we have that, we need to scale up the market as
Mais
was
tout ça,
indicated. Getting into which
c'est
technology
seulement pour le
we should go for.
hydrogène.
We do not have the
Mais
size of
on ne sait
electrolyzers.
pas
We have
quel
seen
cas,
from Simon, it's only 1
sur
gigawatt now
lequel
worldwide.
technologie
At this scale
qu'on
that we
doit
are
le
all looking
utiliser
at,
maintenant.
which technology would prevail? We have seen that the technology reduction
Et on ne
in
sait
photovoltaic
pas c'est lequel
mainly because of the
technologie
cost disruption
qu'on
in
va
the
adapter
technology itself,
et
because of the
l'utiliser.
technology development. So, would it be
Parce que j'ai
alkaline
dit,
electrolyzer?
il y a beaucoup de
PEM?
différences entre le prix.
Others? Who knows? There is
Mais
uncertainty here in that.
si on
And here
sait
you are making a
un
decision that would cost
produit,
billions.
c'est quoi le prix, un produit, on ne sait pas l'autre matériel,
There is still a certain amount
le
of
prix de
uncertainty
autre
what will happen
matériel.
within a couple of years.
Mais on
And
pense
unless you have a
que
secure
pour
BBA,
prendre
similar to
jusqu'à
electricity,
10 gigawatts,
for several years to come,
le prix
then you
va
are
être
in a big
différent.
trouble. And if you
Et
think
si
about
on
the
a
incentives
avoir
that is given,
le source,
for example, in the States, through the IRA,
sourd,
$3 per kilogram,
elle va aider
then
l'autre
should we compete
plan
in
que
making the incentives?
mon collègue a
If you
dit.
look into the regulation for the European
Et,
Hydrogen Bank,
et quand j'ai vu l'organisation de banque de hydrogène en Europe,
it's a competition on who is providing more incentive. This is not right to create. It is good for the start, but it is not a healthy market in such case.
et c'est
But
très
let's
important
move.
pour
We need to move fast,
donner
scale
le
up the market.
morage.
Another challenge is the water availability, and this is not a big
Mais
risk
c'est
from
un peu un
the
challenge.
perspective of economy. It's only 1 to 2% of the total cost.
Et ça, c'est
In terms of a region
de
that is
mon point de
somehow
vue,
scarce in water resources,
c'était
1%.
1%. Mais pour faire ça, il faut bien réfléchir. Et comment la fabrication de vert hydrogène.
Clean hydrogen. I will not speak about the infrastructure needs for carbon capture and sequestration. This is another story. But now we need to compress or liquefy this hydrogen and transport it.
Oui, besoin,
And then when you think
oui,
about the cost of
on a
compression,
bien besoin
from
de
1 to 7
poser
dollars per
plus.
kilogram. And if you look into the cost of
Il y a
liquefaction,
différence entre
up to
1
12,
de 7
13, 14
kilos
per kilogram. And for the liquefaction, you need to maintain very low
au
temperature.
dollar. Et il y a
And you need to keep
différence
this low
aussi de
temperature. This is
6
the cost, additional
jusqu'à
cost.
17
And if you would like to
dollars.
get the natural
Et il
gas
faut bien de
pipelines ready to have it as a
température.
gas, then
Et
you
ça
need to
va
check
être plus de
the existing
finance et
pipelines
plus
and
expensive.
what is the capacity that they can
Il
tolerate.
y a aussi de
So each element of this. And then you think about the delivery
la
facility.
capacité
And if we
aussi
see it as
de
ammonia,
comment
then
de le
we need to
faire.
think about the other side,
On a
how to
aussi
crack the ammonia
réfléchi
again to hydrogen,
d'autres
and this is
choix,
additional cost.
comme du
So all these
ammonia.
elements are part of the value chain.
Et tout
I'm not
ça,
saying
c'est
that these
plus
are barriers to
expensive.
develop, but these are things that we can improve
C'est
over the way
c'est
so
pas
that
de
we bring the
problème, mais la
market
façon de
to a
le
real
développer
healthy market with good competition, with a good work. I'm sorry for taking long.
pour
Thank you very much.
avoir
Thank you very much,
bien
Dr.
une
Wahid.
bonne santé.
We talked about scale, we talked about the upstream of hydrogen,
Merci.
we talked about the midstream,
On a
the
parlé
ancillary
bien de
services, let's call it
hydrogène
that way, and all of that needs
et
vast
les autres
amounts of
services.
investment. And
Et tout
I
ça a
wonder,
besoin
apart from
d'investissement.
these conversations, apart from the targets, apart from the rules that are being set around the world from the demand
Et
side,
loin de
from the supply
règles
side, what about the
et les
real
autres
investment, the
côtés
real
de
activity?
présentation,
What is the climate for investment for delivering
c'est
actual
quoi
projects
le bon
to
climat
comply with
pour
these
le
targets and
investissement,
these plans that we
pour
are seeing
donner
around
le
everywhere, John? And
projet, ce
what
qu'on
else can we do
voulait
to
voir
catalyze
dans
more
le
investment
monde.
to deliver all what our colleagues mentioned?
Et ce que vous faire pour le aider
thank
et
you very
mettre
much for this
plus
question.
d'informations.
It's very interesting. Typically, when I'm on these
Merci
panels,
pour
I
cette
come towards
question.
the end, which makes sense as a financier because you need, in many ways, the stars to be aligned in order to ensure that you have an investment that's bankable.
Il faut
And
bien
to give you an
être
idea,
d'accord.
banks and commercial banks and IFC, which I work
De
for, that looks
autres
specifically at
banques.
private investment, we need stable,
Et comment on va
visible
voir
cash
le
flows in
privé
order to ensure that we
investissement
can have lending capacity.
Comment faire avec
So the green
l'investissement
hydrogen market is a relatively nascent
vers
sector.
l'énergie.
And to give you an idea, I mean, there's a lot of interest within the MENA region.
Il est bien
We've heard NEOM,
commencé
there's projects of green
et on a
hydrogen
bien
in Egypt,
écouté de
Morocco, Tunisia,
NEOM.
and Oman.
Et il
But
y a
here,
autre
just
au
worldwide,
Égypte,
in terms
au
of what we're
Maroc.
talking about green hydrogen
C'est
projects that
pas,
have actually reached financial
c'est
investment
déjà
decisions.
pas seulement
So
aussi, c'est
McKinsey,
global.
in May 2023,
Pour
they
l'investissement
indicated that there
global,
are more than 1,000 projects worldwide linked to green hydrogen. That's
il y a
more than
plus de
double what was in
2000
previous years,
projets
May 2022, but less than 10%
globaux
of them
et c'est
have
plus
actually reached
double
financial
ce qu'il
investment decisions.
était,
So it gives you
mais
an
juste
idea,
10%
of the
qu'ils
gap
ont
and
à
the gap in terms of
d'investissement.
reaching closure for these projects. It's already been mentioned
Et
by my
c'est
esteemed colleagues.
grave
So, I mean,
entre
what I'd like
eux.
to give you is a list of considerations
Donc, ce que
that
je
banks
veux
have to
dire,
think about
seulement
when
de
they
aider.
provide debt facilities. So, and some of the points were already mentioned, but I'll try to put it in kind of a list of considerations. So
Quelques
first one
idées,
is
elles ont
electrolyzer
déjà
technology. That was already mentioned.
dire,
The
mais
more advanced, the more mainstream
il
the
faut
technology,
aussi des
the better
technologies.
it is for a
Et
bank to
chaque,
provide
chaque
debt
fois, on a
facilities.
plus de
You also
technologies,
need to
on
take
va
into
aider
consideration,
plus de services que
the
pour
type of
l'aide.
electrolyzers and the system lifetimes. More often than not, it is
Et
expected
comment
that they
c'est
last
quoi la
7 to
façon
15 years. But if
d'obtenir
you're
un
going to go on a green
or?
hydrogen project, as was demonstrated with the NEOM project,
Et on
you
a
need 30
étudié
years.
ça
So what does this mean?
depuis
It means you need to
15
think
ans.
about maintaining your
Ce qu'on a
electrolyzers,
besoin de,
perhaps refurbishing or replacing them over the lifetime of your project.
et
You
peut-être
need to also consider performance
pour le
guarantees
temps,
from the electrolyzer
il
manufacturers.
faut,
So when you put all of these things together,
il
that's
faut
one
aimer
aspect.
de
It's the
plein
electrolyzer technology. And my friend Dr. Magid was also mentioning
pour la
what type of
façon
electrolyzer
et de
technology do you use,
technologie de
is it clean,
electrolyzer.
etc. So these are considerations to take into account.
Et ça, c'est
And next
la
one,
technologie
which
qu'on
was
peut
already mentioned by my
réfléchir.
colleagues here on the panel,
Et
is the cost of
le
power.
deuxième point,
It's extremely important
ils
to
ont
have
déjà
renewable energy feeding into your green hydrogen
discuté
to ensure that it is maintained and called
de
green hydrogen.
énergie,
Dr. Samir was
que
mentioning the nomenclature in the EU,
l'expensive
for
de
instance, you have to
énergie
ensure
qui
that the whole value chain is green.
travaille
in order to keep the
avec
green
le
hydrogen terminal.
hydrogène
What does this mean? And this was already mentioned, that you need a combination
pour
of
tout ce
renewable
qui
energy
est
sources
vert.
to ensure that you minimize variability
Ils ont
in terms
besoin
of,
de sources
source of energy.
d'énergie
So you need
aussi.
solar, wind, hydro, and so on and so
C'est
forth.
expensive,
Magic again
comme,
mentioned this,
comme
transmission.
nous,
The
nous
transmission
allons
sector is
dire,
absolutely
le
vital.
source d'énergie
Depending on where the green hydrogen
a
project is
besoin
located,
plus
it could be
de
over long distances. You have to ensure that you have a very strong transmission
sources
network. So that's
pour le
another piece
hydrogène
to the
vert.
power puzzle. Thirdly,
Il faut
in
avoir
terms of
un
the
gros
associated
net
infrastructure facilities, we've talked about some of
de
these
disposer,
now. So one is
eh bien, le
disseminate.
saut de
You need
Scract
a lot of water
pour
to make
disposer le
electrolyzers work,
hydrogène aussi.
which means that
Et
you
c'est
have to
tout
consider the
ensemble.
cost of desalination.
Et comme j'ai
Apparently,
dit, l'électronique
15
de
liters of portable water for each
électrolyzer,
kilogram, 1 kilogram of green hydrogen. So it gives you the scale,
il
especially if we're
faut
talking about
15
this large gigawatt
litres
size
de chaque
projects.
kilomètre
So desalination is one, but
pour ce
portable
projet.
as well. So if you're going to be exporting, you have to
Et sous ce
use,
compte,
the relevant port location.
si vous allez
Port facilities
exporter
are right that you can store as well the hydrogen.
et
So
si
storage
vous
is another
allez de
component
bons
to take into account.
points et
And
si vous
pipelines,
allez bien
another
de
thing that was
place
mentioned
de
today.
mettre de
So that's the associated
hydrogène.
infrastructure. Fourthly, and we've also
Et
talked
ça,
about this
c'est
briefly,
aussi
is project
avec le
competitiveness. I'm not
sous-construct.
saying anything new compared to what the panel is saying. You have to ensure
Et ça,
that
le point
green
numéro
hydrogen
4,
is competitive compared to the alternatives. And I hear what Dr. Zaid is saying you should not
et ça,
really
c'est
look
très honneur
holistically at all
avec
the sources
vous.
of energy, but here we're talking about green hydrogen, so we have to think about the competitiveness, at least from a financier's point of view.
Il faut bien
So
réfléchir
it's quite clear that from
l'action
a policy
qu'on
perspective,
doit les dire,
you need a
ou bien
number
on
of
doit
things.
les
One is
faire.
perhaps subsidies from governments and blended finance to help scale up.
Et
It's very
il
often
faut de
in
support
early
aussi d'autres
stage,
gouvernements.
type of nascent markets,
Spécialement
concessional finance and
quand
non-finance
on
finance,
commence au
are hard
nouveau
to come by,
ou bien aux
but as a
personnes
financier
qui
with the
ne
IFC, we
commencent
have
pas.
access
Il faut
to
de support.
basically these pockets of monies. And there are a number of other considerations, and I'll just list them very, very briefly.
Aussi, autre point que je voulais dire rapidement.
We'll know that construction risk is typical. Here, it's unavoidable. Regulatory risk, which we mentioned. You also need, of course,
C'est le
a
dangerosité
very strong offtake.
de
If you
organisation.
look at the NEOM case, it was a 30-year offtake, take or pay, with a known price. And it's absolutely vital for a financier to have an offtake with a known price, because
Le temps pour faire un projet, je crois que le banque va trouver des problèmes pour supporter ce projet. Et c'est ça, ce point que je voulais dire pour supporter l'autre opération. Je vous donne un petit peu d'idée ici. Merci, Monsieur John. Et ça va parler avec tout ce qu'on voulait dire. Et comme on dit, le gouvernement et les autres secteurs. Et comme on dit, Abdurrahman, c'est quoi votre point de vue? Il y a deux demandes. C'est quoi votre opinion? Et comment on peut aider le gouvernement pour le demander? Et comment vous allez faire avec le support? Bonjour tout le monde, je suis content d'être ici avec ce collègue et je remercie l'organisation. Maintenant, c'est le hydrogène. Il est la plus importante source pour mettre de l'énergie du Moyen-Orient et le nord de l'Afrique. Il peut mettre différents gouvernements. Et comment on peut le mettre mieux de hydrogène, par exemple, l'Arabie Saoudite et Maroc, ils ont partagé le même but. Est-ce qu'il est vrai? Et c'est déposer de l'expensivité du projet. Et comme on a bien entendu, il y a 10 millions. Donc, il faut supporter. Et il faut savoir, il faut mettre plus de l'argent. Et par exemple, s'il y a quelques projets pour supporter le technical science pour le hydrogène, c'est un grand sujet. Il faut le mettre au moins 200 degrés, moins le zéro. Et il faut être source pour notre gouvernement. Et pour support le knowledge public, il faut bien être. Il y a de support global de cet objet et partager l'expérience avec nous. Et maintenant, on va un peu réfléchir de points qu'on a plus de gap. Et comment on peut pas supporter, mais moins de pétrole. Et comment on doit Comme on parlait de hydrogène verte, il y a des chances d'emploi. Il y a beaucoup de chances. Il y a des stratégies aussi pour concentrer. Mais ici, en Arabie Saoudite, il n'y a pas de technologie pour le faire. Mais aussi, mais moins de taxes pour supporter ce plan. Mais il n'y a pas de source, il n'y a pas concentré. Alors, il faut avoir de chances de support. Il n'y a pas de local. Ici, en Arabie Saoudite, il n'y a pas de local market pour utiliser du hydrogène. Le local market est un peu expensive maintenant. Mais plus de collègues et plus de partager d'informations et les sources. Et alors, c'est la source de matériel qu'on est à avoir au Moyen-Orient. On est à une bonne place de le faire pour arrêter ce gap. Et moi, et je suis content de mettre part de ça. Et merci à vous pour ce discussion. Merci pour ce point de vue que vous allez discuter avec moi. Merci beaucoup à tout le monde. Et je vais remercier les autres présenteurs. Et aussi encore merci. Je vous remercie pour ce discours, de trop grand discours. Et je vous remercie les présentateurs. Les préparations, pour ça, il faut faire plus de chances. Et il faut mais plus de challenges. Et c'est quoi l'influence, l'argent qu'il faut le mettre dans ce projet? Et je crois avec le temps, on va être pas loin. Ce que dire avec l'énergie verte et avec le local market, qu'il va offrir plus de chances. Et pour l'énergie depuis. Et merci à vous et j'espère que vous allez à bon temps. Merci.